Anyways, Belle Jolie tells the girls about Mecca's comment. And somebody zoomed in on Caitlin's face because I didn't notice it the first time around, but Caitlin like hyena laughing at this. This comment to know about is so incredibly hurtful and concerning. So to then see Caitlin's behavior in the next episode, you lost me. You lost me.
What's up, bitches? Welcome back to another episode of Positively Uncensored, your favorite reality TV and interview podcast. It's your host, Leah.
Welcome back to another episode of Positively Uncensored. Today, I am joined by good friend and marriage and family therapist, Janae Davis. We will be diving into Married at First Sight episodes 16 through 18. We are finally at the couples retreat. At the episode 18, we will also be diving into Decision Day. We see the start of that with Tori and Felipe. We'll be giving our own predictions. So make sure that you stay through the entirety of this episode so you can hear our thoughts and you can give us your thoughts. And make sure as well, if you're listening to this on YouTube, that you like this video, subscribe, comment, do all of the things. Make sure you follow us on all of our platforms. And if you're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, please make sure to rate this podcast 5 stars and leave a review. I think that's everything I wanted to say. Janae, thank you for sitting tight while I did all of that. Welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me, Leah. This season has been a blast to recap with you.
A blast, and also just so much going on, so much to it is so much better to do together. It's so much more fun to talk about together, and I've really enjoyed this season. I'm actually hating the fact that it's coming to an end just because of how much fun you and I have had on here and talking about our various opinions, talking with others. Do you have one word to sum up your feelings on this batch of episodes?
Chaotic. I felt a lot. I think chaotic is the best word.
I think that's the perfect word. I was sitting here like, what am I going to say? I felt dread. I think that that's a good word.
That's a good one.
Dread for Decision Day, dread for certain people, dread for certain situations. So many situations I felt my whole body clench because I felt so cringe on behalf of multiple individuals. So with that being said, we're going to get at episode 16 and we're going to do things a little bit differently. Sometimes we go note for note what happened in the episodes. I'm not going to lie, we're still going to do part of that today. It's not going to be that different, but we're going to pause and land on only certain things so that we can try to fly through. So I'm sort of going to be taking up like a little bit more space, but if you feel like you're not hearing from Janae, don't worry because I'm going to pause and we're going to have conversations. I'm just going to like kind of bear the front load until we get to a spot that I know that we want to land on. So getting into episode 16, we start, and this is after the dinner, the Last Supper, if you will, because it was their last supper. And we saw Sean tell Adam that, did he talk like this? Does his parents talk like this? Call out his EQ. And so we're seeing Sean and Nikki in the car on their way back home. And Sean says, yeah, you know what? I intentionally wanted to poke the bear tonight because Nikki felt like Sean's comments were inflammatory, I believe is the word that she used. And Sean's like, yeah. Intentionally so. I wanted to poke Adam. I wanted to see what's behind there, see who the real Adam was. And he can't just be all vibes. Meanwhile, Adam is still turned up after this. He's in the car with Marissa and he says he's bringing this energy into the weekend, AKA he's ready to be combative. He's ready to be messy and find some way to stick it back to Sean. But bad news for you, Adam. You have 24 hours to do so or less because Sean's on a flight across the country. So that was cut short.
I like where you bad news for you, Adam. You've got 24 hours to do that. Adam was heated. And I love that Sean immediately was like, hey, I'm only gonna be here for the night. Getting the hell up out of here. I did love that even though Adam was like super upset, Sean was like, hey, can I pull you to the side? I just want to apologize. You know, I didn't mean for it to come off like that. It's like, yeah, Adam, look at that. You're not going to be able to flip out on Sean, and not this weekend, not over this. I loved how Sean was like, "Hey, man to man, I apologize. Cut that shit right out, okay? Let's
Took the wind
keep it
out of
moving."
his sail 2 times in a row. I'm gonna be, do you know you have 30 minutes? And by the way, I'm very sorry. Okay. I didn't mean to come across that way. And Adam's response, yeah, it's okay. You know, I feel like I got you back anyways. You didn't. And then you just proved that I said you're retaliative. Adam has a lot of retaliative spirit inside of him. So we're going to get to that in a second, by the way. Sean and Adam going outside. But before that, Belle Jolie, there's a couple people who are reeling after this dinner, right? Adam is, Sean is kind of like I said what I said. I'm glad that I got that response. And Belle is processing the fact that Mecca told people that he knows how Nikki feels because he also wasn't attracted to Belle Jolie at first. And then they had a private sidebar, which the rest of the group was not privy to until later on in this episode. So she doesn't want to talk to him. She makes that clear by not talking with him, right? So she's like, I need space. And Mecca's response to this felt a bit antagonistic in the sense that he knows what he said. He knows it was upsetting. He knows now, because of how she's acting, now that they're not in front of the group, that she is hurt by this. And he's poking at it. He wants her to talk, and he doesn't even give her the grace to lead the conversation and say, I know what I said. That was so fucked up. He wants to almost hear her repeat the comment back to him. And that to me felt super icky. And she was completely turned off by this situation because you embarrassed me. And now you're not even going to give me the space to process my feelings. So again, I felt like he was completely in the wrong. And I think it's great that she takes a moment to process her space. But I also think she could have just told him, you're sleeping on the couch, doors closed, don't want to talk to you tonight. You know what the issue is. You know what you said. I'm not going to say it. I need space from you. I don't even want to see you right now.
Yeah, I wish she would have just said like I don't want to talk about this very clearly because that word was perfect, antagonistic. He was antagonizing her that whole time when they got home, asking her what's wrong, did that bother you? It's like, yes, you literally just told the whole group, news to her, that you did not find her attractive at first and you were wondering if she was pretty enough for you. And that's just not the first time that he's done something like that. And so she's having to relive these situations again and again with him. I thought it was really weird because, again, you said it perfectly, Leah, that he wanted her to repeat the comment back to him, which is almost like a kink, if you will. Like, yeah, repeat it back to me. Like, let me know exactly. You already know. I just wish she would have said, like, out loud, I don't want to talk about this right now. I'll let you know when I'm ready to have this discussion, but I'm really upset. But I think she's getting to her wits' end, or so I would assume she was getting to her wits' end with him in that moment, but we'll talk more about that.
Someone said something that I thought was such a good observation on Threads, which is that Mecca is being to Belle Jolie the exact person who his dad was to him on their wedding day. And I thought that's spot on.
That is a perfect observation because
Mm-hmm.
his dad embarrassed him on wedding day and then wanted to laugh about it. And of course, Mecca laughed with him because he doesn't want to be the butt of the joke. And now he is doing the same thing to Belle Jolie.
And guess what? Not everyone's going to fall in line and laugh because shit's not funny. And the way that you were taught to cope with being embarrassed, humiliated, and that being sort of like a rite of passage to have a relationship with one another is not healthy at all. So moving past Mecca and Belle Jolie, we see, I'm so tired of talking about them, so we're going to keep this extremely short and brief. Devin tells Caitlin that if she's attracted to him, what's the harm in trying to be more affectionate? I'm not saying that Caitlin shouldn't have been chosen from this process. I'm going to scream it out on the mountaintop. Because she has been, I'm forced to come up with commentary surrounding this situation. Devin is justified in wanting more affection, and yet simultaneously, it feels pressuring. Like, it just feels like anytime you ask someone to go against like what's natural to them, we just get to this space where things become uncomfortable. And I'm not saying that she shouldn't try to step outside of her comfort zone. She's it's I get the fact that he's getting mixed signals, but I'm just tired of them trying to make this work. I'm tired of seeing them. They're both wrong. They're not compatible, and I just he yearns for what Adam and Marissa have. And Caitlyn is either not like that, period, in any relationship, or just does not fuck with him in that capacity.
Absolutely agree. I think that the most intimate conversation that they've had has been about Taylor Swift. Because again, we're this is the second time that she's brought up like wanting to analyze Taylor Swift's album with him, and he's like, "I only want to listen to it with you," and she's like, "Yeah, but you know all the pieces now. What are we talking about, Caitlyn?" And I think to me, it seems like Devin is asking for that next level of intimacy, and it doesn't sound like even a lot, like holding hands, touching each other's leg, or just more touchy feely type of things without even having to have sex. Um, and I do feel like he's getting mixed signals from Caitlyn, because Caitlyn's saying, "You're hot, you're good looking, you're my type. I just take a long time. I'm a slow burn." I saw someone on TikTok, it was a funny video. They were like, "I don't want to see any more slow burns. I take a long time to warm up. I'm not, the type of person that jumps straight in, not even sex wise, just into a relationship on Married at First Sight anymore." Because you literally are signing up to trust people to match you with someone, and then you slow burn it with instead of just saying, "I'm not attracted to you." Take a page out of Nikki's book. Nikki told Sean pretty soon, pretty upfront, ish, that she was not sexually attracted to him, but that there were other ways that they could increase that attraction. That is being done. Caitlyn has said all this time that she's super attracted to Devin and he's so hot. Like, she said it at this point as well. But then you're not giving those signals or signs. But then you're not wanting to call it a quit either. Like, I'm ready for them to call it quits, but I feel like Devin is going based off of the things that she's given him. But then, like, there's really nothing there except for Taylor Swift. And that's all on her end.
And that was a red flag too. Like, as soon as she said Taylor Swift and there was something else that was her interest that she was super passionate about, and I'm like, both of those are nods to white feminism immediately to me.
As soon as she said, "Let's analyze the album," I was like, "What are we analyzing?" I don't
But
know,
you know
Taylor.
what? It explains so much, okay? Because number one, that's the type of feminism that I think that Caitlyn subscribes to. Like, that's her idol, that's her everything. I think her and Courtney have a lot in common. Secondly, Taylor Swift, being her model that she is, she seems very adolescent. She hasn't grown with her music. She doesn't have a side to her that's sensual. And people may just be asexual, and that's fair and fine. But to me, like, she represents like a mediocre white girl who's just I just it makes sense to me that Caitlyn acts as she does, and that Taylor Swift, who can't dance, has no rhythm, doesn't have any sensuality to her personality, like, is her role model. And then on top of that, selecting women who clearly have trauma, right? All of us do, but specific to intimate partner violence or domestic violence, selecting them, or prior history of sexual abuse, selecting them to be with men in a short 6-week process to where it's not natural to force yourself to sleep together and do certain things. To select them and think that we're going to have a positive outcome when certain instances they've been in perhaps have taught them that I can't give a mixed signal. If I hold his hand, if I do this, that's leaving space for my agency to be diminished, to just say she was leading me on. So it's just like they're not compatible for this process and are put Courtney was at least with Nick, who didn't really push her, you know, like, sure, wanted her to spend more quality time with him. But Devin specifically does. That's fine. Physical touch is one of his love languages, but with someone who has issues around it. So I'm just like, what do we expect?
1000%. Of course, production plays a role in this, and they want the drama, they want the incompatibility. I think the audience wants compatibility over everything, though. Like, the couples that people tend to keep up with and they really like their love stories are the ones that work, that don't have all of the production drama set into it. And I totally agree. Having people on the show that have a past, that have a history, is totally normal, because we all do. Everybody has some type of history with something, with someone, somewhere in their lives, right? It's about, have you addressed it? Are you dealing with it? Is this something that you're still uncovering? Is it something that you are still actively experiencing in your current dating experiences without even coming onto this show? And that, I don't think, is fair for the people that they are partnering them with. Because these people are actively still trying to heal, still going down their journey. It could be a forever journey, but like, what point are you in your healing journey, though? And for Courtney and Caitlyn, I think that they're aware of it. I just don't think that they've dealt with it. I don't think that they are active in their own healing right now. And you see them processing this through this show, and it's inappropriate. It's inappropriate space. It's not right for their partner, because then they're sending mixed signals. The partner comes off like, well, I don't know which way to go. Like, give me a green light. And then you have these experts that are not making it any better. Just too much pressure. I would like to hear from people that if they come on, they say, I do have this trauma, but this is what I've done to work through this trauma. And this is how it shows up now in my dating experiences. I just haven't found the right person. I'm totally open to it. I'm ready for this. And now that I have done the work, I feel like I'm in an appropriate place in my life to do that. I feel like we almost see that with Tori, where Tori has had like a hard life. Like, she has had to pick herself up and do things for herself and for her younger sister and make things work. And then we see kind of the product of that, and how she moves in this current relationship with Felipe, where she's like, those are your feelings that you need to deal with and address. I cannot be the dictator of those. That shows the work that she's put in thus far. It's not perfect, how she's responded or how they have been, but that shows her work. And I feel like that would have been fair for Devin and for Nick to receive from Caitlyn and Courtney, a more healed version of them as people, instead of just coming into this experiment and still being like, I mean, you can see them processing in real time, and it's really hard to watch. And I know it's harder for the people that they're paired with as well.
Agree. I completely agree, because it's not safe for them, because now you're having to question your gut and push your gut in a situation that's uncomfortable and you don't have the right support. And then it's not on the same end of that. It's for the partner, like you were saying, now you're in a difficult space because you wanted like partnership and companionship, and perhaps this process looks different. And it would be different again if we're not in this. In the outside world, other things and other commonalities brought you two together, and you learned to know them and communicate through different things. But this is not that. They don't have the time to facilitate that. So, moving past Devin and Caitlyn, we see Nikki on her diary cam say that Sean has been making small comments that have been throwing her off, like saying that she's a Seattle 10, but a New York 7, and she's just unclear as to what his intentions are with these comments. At some point, we're going to get to what like the actual theme underneath this is, which is the desire to humble her, but I don't remember if that comes up at that moment. However, it's going to come up for us in a second, because right after, do you have something to say? Okay, yeah. Because in a second, Sean walks in while Nikki is making mac and cheese. She's on the phone with her mom, she's getting the recipe, she's cooking, and It looks great, mind you. I don't even eat mac and cheese, but it looks fantastic. I know it's my one flaw. LOL. I wish I loved mac and cheese. I had a horror experience with it as a kid, like a traumatic experience, and I have a taste aversion since then. When I see the cheese pull, when I see the crunch on top, I salivate, but I know I can't eat it. So it looked good to me. Sean complains. He's in his confessional and he says, yeah, like I tried Nikki's mac and cheese, like it was okay, which is better than terrible. He also briefly spoke to her mom on the phone, and the takeaway that I got from that is Nikki's mom was keeping it nice and keeping it cute, but I think she has a lot of questions for Sean, and I don't think she really likes him.
So I will say my husband was watching that one scene with me about the Seattle 10, New York 7, and the first thing he goes is, there's something more to this story. And I was like, you think so, babe? He was like, mark my words. There's something more to this story. And then he leaves the room. So that is where he left me. And then, like, as I saw it, I was like, damn, Sean, how did we get here? But then, I was like, okay, maybe there is something more to this story. And then he follows it up with the mac and cheese commentary. It's like, just pay her a compliment and let that be enough. That is it. I can tell Nikki's mom wants to say more, but she's also like, time and place, and this ain't the time, and this ain't the place. So moving on.
And we're going to hit this quickly because there's a lot more to say about this couple later on. We move past Nikki and Sean to Mecca and Belle Jolie in the pool. They're having a conversation, and she brings up the comment that he made. Mecca at first denies this and says that there's no way that he could have said that. She's like, no, you did say that. This is what you said. He hears it back and agrees that, wow, that is extremely hurtful and offensive. Now that you're saying that, I am remembering saying that. You're exhausting. You said it. I don't believe that you don't. I don't even know why you're putting her through this experience of trying to convince you of what you said. I just was at a loss. I'm annoyed. I'm extremely annoyed. So, moving past them, Cam and Michelle annoyed me once again, very small moment, because they're preparing for the couples retreat and things are great. And they are talking about popping their popcorn and bringing their movie theater popcorn and just sitting back and watching. And again, I love a mess. Okay. I love to know tea, but I'm not rooting for other people's demise, nor am I excited about it. Particularly when like Michelle portrays herself as someone like who defends her friends and like doesn't want to see them in bad situations. And it's like, okay, then why are you treating this like your entertainment? Like to me, this would be hard to watch to the point where I would almost not want to be around other couples, or I would just want to keep things to the positive because I'm not your mentor either or counselor. Like Cam and Michelle, anything to say about them before we move past?
They're relishing in the drama. And like at first it was like, oh, you know what? Yeah, they don't have much drama, so this might be entertaining, which I don't think there's any problem with being like, yeah, this is a little entertaining. But now it's gotten to a point where they're like, can't wait to see the drama. And you almost see Cameron like really excited to like stir the pot. Like you see him get noticeably excited about like wanting to blow shit up. And the best commentary that I've seen online is like they're treating this like this is a couples competition. This is no competition. You do not win money at the end of this. You either stay married or you get divorced. That is that. Worry about yourself. If you want to be a good friend, if you want to listen to the mess, like be there for it. I just feel like they are active pot stirrers for the mess, and they relish in knowing that the other couples are experiencing hardships and they are not experiencing hardships. Again, I think Cameron's ready to cut and run as soon as they have an issue. They just have not had an issue, or maybe they're actively avoiding the issues, but I don't like it. They're really annoying me right now.
Completely agree. It's like at this point, either contribute and like hash something out, go deeper, or don't be here as like passive observers. Fast forward them to decision day. Like it's just I understand that there's producer prodding and encouragement and everything. However, to me, Michelle talks about not respecting just going through the experience to get through the end. And I don't respect just being a pawn for production because you don't have a storyline. Bring it. Talk about having explosive diarrhea accidentally and Cam has to clean it up for you. I don't know, like make a storyline, like make something happen or just sit there and be happy. Here, what a thought. Like, what a thought. Just sit there and enjoy actually being happy.
They could always just be like Marissa. Marissa's just quiet in the background, and even when Adam is like stirring up his own drama, Marissa's just like just smirking in the background. Be more like Marissa in this case.
And then other times I'm like, Marissa, don't you have any thoughts on what Adam is saying? Control it. Like, I don't know what to say. So moving past them, now we're on the way to the retreat. Tori's car breaks down on the way. Felipe doesn't say shit. He's on his phone. He's a bump on the log. He doesn't offer to go outside and check under the hood. He doesn't offer to call AAA. It's clear that this is on Tori, and it's because Tori has proven herself competent and independent. So he is taking full advantage of that and making her do that. And again, as she has told him several times, she did not sign up to be his mother. She signed up to be someone's partner. And it seems like he's looking for someone more of a transitional role from his mom to someone else stepping in and having the exact same role. Because to me, I can't imagine just sitting there passively and not here. The pats on the back would piss me off.
That was the moment that Tori clocked out. That was the moment. It wasn't what happened. What we're going to talk about at the cabin. That's just an addition. At that moment, when her car had started having troubles and Felipe was splayed out in that seat, giving her those pats on the back, that is when Tori, in her mind, said, "Oh, this is not my husband." No, I fully saw her check out in that moment. For one, I always wonder, like, does he not have a driver's license? Can he not drive them up there safely? But then for two, like, do something. He could literally do anything. He could say, "Hey, do you have AAA? Do you need me to call? Or do you need me to go ahead and start packing the stuff? Like, what do you something?" I understand that there's only a certain amount of things that you can do in that situation, but pick one of the certain amount of things that you can do. Just pick one. Pick any of them. Instead, he was like, "Oh, it'll be okay. We'll make it there." Went back to relaxing. I was like, if I was in this situation, so many things would have been different from the jump. First of all, I wouldn't be driving. My husband is like, if I touch the driver's side door and he's coming somewhere, what are you doing? Even if he doesn't want to drive, what are you doing? So first of all, I'm sitting in the passenger seat. The car starts smoking. Maybe I'm taking a nap. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to be up and aware. But I'm like, oh man, the car's smoking. Turns to my husband and he's going to be like, "Yeah, baby. Yeah, I'm already on it. I'm calling you. Just relax. I got it. Don't worry about it. Charge your phone, whatever. If you got snacks in the back, like taking the initiative." And again, I think that was the point that she checked out, because Felipe has lacked initiative in the relationship from the jump. Very much, my mom still washes my laundry at home and brings it to my apartment.
Thank you for getting me back centered. Steer that ship. Starboard, move right. LOL. I'm learning these terms because I'm playing a video game now where I'm hearing starboard occasionally. So don't even know if that's the right terminology, but throwing it in there. Now we're at the retreat. Okay. First of all, Nikki and Sean arrive last and they get the worst room. Okay. And so not you giving me the worst room and then appointing that room as the space to be the common space. Absolutely not. They have bunk beds, which is honestly hilarious because they don't need to share a bed anyways, in my opinion. The couples play an awful game. This game is awful. Okay. I understand that they're going to stir the pot. However, I think the pot could be stirred in a way that's not sabotage. And to me, I know that Felipe was chosen for all of these answers because he has showed us behavior that he is immature and he wears womanizer like a crown. And yet, still, on every reality show, once one couple has been picked unanimously, they then become the couple that is easy to pick for every other question. And if you're going to be messy, I would have encouraged a piece of that game to be you need to pick somebody other than Felipe and Tori, because especially for the men, like, and then I saw the girls, like, just like Marissa and Michelle just like jumping in on it. And I'm just like, this feels gross, because for you to talk so much about how you care for your girls and you're Beyonce and you don't need to put up with this, why are you laughing and like picking him for? I just thought it was like a very odd situation. That being said, could Felipe have drawn a boundary and told the guys, stop, this isn't funny? Do you not see that this is hurting Tori's feelings? Also, it's not true because of how I move in this relationship. Something could have been said. I think that I don't know if I'm giving him too much grace. I think two things can be true. I think Felipe's immature. I think he's a burden to Tori. I think he could have said something. I would want my partner to say something and defend us. I wouldn't want him to be my partner. And yet, still, I think it's in his nature to try to laugh at this and keep a good vibe. And I think that I think a piece of him loves to be called a womanizer because he describes himself as someone who wasn't conventionally attractive and was ugly. So to hear people say that, it's the opposite of being called a virgin and someone who's not getting laid. So it makes him feel good and it fuels the ego that he wants to have fueled, regardless of if it hurts Tori's feelings. But I also think a piece of that is there's two options. He can either get mad, like how Adam would, and get really defensive and ruin the night and make things awkward, or he can laugh. And so I kind of understood him laughing and then like kind of telling Tori after, like, shit wasn't fun for me either. I'm laughing to try to not ruin the evening, but it doesn't feel good to be me either. So I kind of understood both of their viewpoints, to be honest, because I thought it was such an awful game.
Totally agree. Horrible game to play. There's so many other games that you can play that allow you to be messy in different ways. Like a good game is if they would have played how well do you know your partner? And someone asked the person a question and they both hold up the sign with the answers. And then you can really see like, dang, you don't know this person. Y'all haven't been having any conversations. Adam and Marissa. You know, like, there are so many other messy games they could have played. I hated that game. I thought the game was awful. I thought I thought that Mecca and Adam were the answers for a lot of more of those questions than for Felipe. So I thought that was interesting as well. But you're totally right. It was a catch-22. Is he gonna be pissed and ruin the evening and everybody's in a bad attitude and everybody has to like accommodate his feelings and think about how they hurt his feelings? Like that changes the whole vibe, right? Or you laugh about it, embrace it, cool, whatever, have that conversation with Tori afterwards. I think the disconnect is he doesn't mind those labels, either because he still prescribes to them or he feels like I'm not that right now in this relationship, so I'm fine with the label. But I do wish afterwards he would have checked on Tori immediately.
Absolutely.
Because Tori dipped pretty quick after that game, long enough for the girls to go have their own chat, long enough for the guys to have their own chat, and then long enough for him to go upstairs. Like it was a long time that she was gone,
Mm-hmm.
and it was clearly bothersome. But I hold like the rest of the group accountable. I hold the girls accountable for not like chilling out and like checking Tori, because I feel like at one point Belgia Lee like pointed and was like, "Look at Tori, y'all. She hates this." It's like, yeah, this is y'all are picking Felipe for every single answer. And this is clearly something that bothers her because she's brought it up in group therapy. She's brought it up at the dinner before. Like, what are we doing here? So, really stupid, like, really bad game to pick if you want to be messy. Like, come on. I could have gave y'all some messy gameplays that still would have been fun,
Mm-hmm.
but then would have been like, oh, dang, what's going on over there, right? That's how you got to stir the pot in the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Not in because then the game was boring as well. Like Felipe stacked up all the points. That's boring
Mm-hmm.
as hell. So yeah,
Exactly. That's what I mean. Like, then it was the safe choice to just pick them for every option. And I'm not convinced that people truly believe that Felipe is pulling more than Adam when Adam had to break up with his fucking girlfriend situationship on the phone with us in episode 1. Like, let's be real.
I recently saw an interview that the expert Paul did, where he said that one of the times they were meeting with Felipe, they had to ask Felipe to delete all of his dating apps off of his phone in his face. Not that the rest of the group knows that, but still, Mecca and Adam deserved some of that smoke for some of those questions. But you're right, Felipe became the safe choice. But it was just a really stupid game to start with. Like, that's not the type of game that anybody would want to play. You win a prize for being the biggest dick here. Like, and not that kind of big dick. But you win a prize for being an asshole, basically, a womanizer. But yeah, Felipe, I think he likes the title, but I also think that's not who he feels like he is in the present. So he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't see an issue with it. But that just goes in with the immaturity
Mm-hmm.
of Felipe as a whole. And again, I think Tori was already checked out after that car issue thing. And then this happens and it's all hitting her at once that like this is not the man that I want to be with.
Yes, agreed. So the game ends, and like you said, the guys and girls separate. Adam is basically telling Devin that Caitlyn isn't giving him anything. We hear more about them going to a concert together, Adam and Marissa dancing the night away. Apparently, Caitlyn was on her phone the entire time. I'm over them. I'm over Caitlyn and Devin. Anyways, Belle Jolie tells the girls about Mecca's comment. And somebody zoomed in on Caitlyn's face because I didn't notice it the first time around, but Caitlyn like hyena laughing at this. This comment to know about is so incredibly hurtful and concerning. So to then see Caitlyn's behavior in the next episode, you lost me. You lost me. Like, I am not going to take time to find any critical commentary, surrounding you anymore. Like, I don't have any more grace or any more brain power. The main takeaway has always been that she shouldn't have been picked for this experience, but we're then forced to look at nuance and try to figure out compatibility and other things as they stay on the season. But we'll get to that in a second, because downstairs, as the guys are chatting, this is when Cam asks Mecca, is Belle Jolie your dream girl? Again, this pissed me off. Why ask? You almost know the answer is no. You anticipate it will be no based on his actions. So why ask? And then he says no, and now we have to have a conversation about it. Conversation goes off the rails. Adam is like, what's the problem? Why isn't she? Mecca talks about how they just disagree intellectually on a couple of things, and then pivots to how it's about physicality. Adam asks him outright if he's into white girls. He says, and blondes. Because I didn't catch that until upon the rewatch. He added both of those in there. And Mecca says no racial preference. And then they continue to talk about her body. Because Adam's like, okay, then what's the issue? He says thicker, okay? Immediately, Adam's suggestion, first of all, to have a conversation about his wife's body, this should have been shut down. Answering it should have been shut down. Anything but yes shouldn't have came out of his mouth. But do you have anything to say before we get into the back half of this conversation? Keep going. So now they're talking about what the issue is. He says thicker. Adam's suggestion, red flag. You suggesting that she alter her body and be amenable with what God gave her is crazy. Especially for him. In general, but especially for him. So can she get thicker? He says, no, not here. I had to rewatch this a couple times to understand that he's gesturing in the chest area, okay? He's talking about bigger boobs, allegedly. Adam says, okay, is fake boobs, boob job not an option? A lot of girls are getting those. Mecca says that he would be nervous to approach that in the conversation. Adam says, okay, but that aside, if Belle Jolie has big boobs, is she your dream girl? What does he say?
I don't think he said anything.
I don't think
I
he's
don't think he
the
really
answer.
responded to that.
Okay, we don't see a response to that. Cam does chime in and say that this conversation is absolutely gross. And I agree, but you started it. I completely agree, but you opened the door for this. Every second that passed, I got more and more disgusted. You're a liar, Mecca. It's not about being thicker. Caitlin's not thick. Your ex we saw on TikTok isn't thick. Michelle's not thick. So that's not the issue. And I thought this was so sick, especially after she has shared how hurt she was over the dinner conversation, to then have another public conversation about her. It seems intentional. You want to humiliate her and talk about her. I don't know how else to view it. And that was the end of episode 16. Anything to say about that?
I have a lot of things to say about that scene. First of all, I was flabbergasted that that conversation was happening, period. Cameron bringing it up, is Mecca your dream girl? Okay. I think that's a loaded question. It's so loaded, I asked my husband.
I almost did. I was scared for the fucking answer. I'm like, but I know it's yes. But I know it's yes. But what was your answer? Tell me.
His answer was like, yeah, but like, I don't really think anybody is with their dream person. He was like, because that person is like an unattainable thing. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. And he was like, but I love you. I was like, okay, well, that's good enough. Like, we're here. We see each other. Like, if I had to pick my dream person, I feel like that's so, anyways, we don't even
Right.
have to get down that. But I definitely asked him for jokes. I loved the response, but I feel like that's a loaded question in this experiment. It's a loaded question, period. Am I your dream person? Who is checking off every single box on every single list? Let me let you know, ladies. Nobody. And then men, nobody. Somebody's missing something. Maybe it's the second toe is longer than the first. Whatever. But Cameron
Third
bringing this
tooth from
up,
the back. Maybe you don't know.
hey, you never know. We're all flawed individuals, right? Be flawed together in the most perfect way. But Cameron stirring the pot with that question, knowing that Mecca just had that conversation at the table about Belle Jolie, like not him having to grow in his attraction. Again, Cameron stirring the pot. What I did notice, or I feel like I'm noticing, is that Adam picked up on Mecca's type. That's why Adam said, what's your type? Describe her to me. I think Adam is clocking Mecca right now. For one, Adam is probably looking at Belle Jolie like, this girl is gorgeous. What could you not like about her? She's beautiful, because she is. Every time I see Belle Jolie, I'm like, golly, this girl is so pretty. So I think Adam is clocking Mecca in real time. Describe her to me. Is she white with blonde hair? Because that's the only thing that I feel like Adam is picking up on it, and I feel like now everybody's picking up on it, especially after Mecca's ex has come out. If you go back and look at some of his other TikToks, other girls that are in his TikToks, they look more like Caitlyn. They look more like a Michelle. We don't see any Belle Jolies on his social media. Not to say that that is a paint and picture of his life, but we don't see that. I think Adam is clocking that. So for Mecca to go, thicker. And I like how Adam was like, you can't work on that here, because you go to the gym. You can do some of these things if you want your booty to grow. You want some bigger legs, whatever the case may be. No, not here. Okay, boob job. Because I think Adam is like trying to chip away at like, so what would make her your dream girl then? The fact of the matter is, like, I don't think Belle Jolie would ever be Mecca's dream girl or his preference or whatever. For him to say no racial preference, and then we cut to the game on the next episode, and the two people he pick out, I'm like, if it was really about the boobs, you would have picked Tori along with Belle Jolie. Hello. But you pick Caitlyn and Michelle, which I'm sure Adam in his head was like, I hated this conversation though. Disgusting conversation right off of the heels of Belle Jolie expressing to him very clearly about how his commentary hurt her feelings and made her feel, and how like hurt he is with it. It's like he says it almost like matter of fact without any consideration or care for her. So I hated this conversation. Cameron did not say it out loud to the group that he did not like the conversation. It was a voiceover, and I think it was him talking from his confessional, saying that he did not like the direction of the conversation and felt very immature, which yes it was, but again, yeah, you did bring it up. However, I don't know if Cameron thought that it would go in the direction that it went, because I think when he first asked, like, is it because you guys differ on your like beliefs or how you go about things? And I think maybe that's what Cameron meant with that questioning. Because when they go, Cameron, is Michelle your dream girl? He goes, yes. And he lists off things that aren't physical. So I feel like that is what he was looking for from Mecca. But of course, Michelle is Cameron's dream girl. Like Cameron, Michelle's got her shit together at least. Like she might be stirring the pot. Now, we might be a little annoyed with her, but that girl's got her shit together. But yeah, I hated that conversation. I thought it was really disgusting. Mecca looked like he was cheesing and laughing throughout the entirety of the conversation. It made me very uncomfortable. No, I was livid after I watched that episode. I was like, here we go again with Mecca downplaying Belle Jolie and who she is and not giving any credit to who she actually is and how she has shown up and supported him and like been a very good partner and wife throughout this experiment. None of that is addressed. It is totally about her looks alone. That is why she's not his dream girl. No substance to him at all. And you know what it reminded me of, Leah? It reminded me of their wedding. When Mega's dad asked Belle Jolie, what did you ask for?
I put
You
that in my
asked for
notes.
you asked for a black man? And she's like, yeah, I asked for a black man. He goes, dang, for real? That's crazy. That's just like you wanted you a black man. And at that moment I was like, why is that surprising to him? Why is he emphasizing this so much? And I think it's because Mecca might not have emphasized it, or maybe he asked for something a little different. And hearing that Belle Jolie specifically asked for that was interesting to his dad. Maybe his dad knows his dating type, before. That's immediately what popped in my head after this conversation. I was like, brings me right back to their wedding night. I hated it. At that point, I was ready to cancel Christmas on Mecca for sure.
That's so funny. Cancel Christmas. Yeah, you're getting no invites. You're not even getting a plate, takeaway plate. You're out. I also had in my notes about their wedding because in that conversation, when he asked Belle Jolie this, he also told her that he had to talk to Mecca about not settling down with non-Black women and how he needs to go where he's loved and understood.
I totally forgot that part. Oh my God, you're so right.
So even in that conversation, I'm like, okay, so it was important to you that he found a woman who wanted him, wanted to be with him, specifically a Black man, and you're trying to instill this in him. And that's not who he's been choosing, and that's not who he's been dating. So I also was reminded of that conversation, and I also thought to myself, I think that Adam has probably seen something, whether it's, I don't know, like Mecca looking at Marissa, or just like sort of just like picked up a vibe. Like, LOL, ew. The vibe word now is just like, I can barely say it. But he picked up something.
Fine.
Vibe. He picked up on something. And the contrast between him speaking, like you said, without care, without regard, no compassion, and then Belle Jolie is like telling the girls Mecca's horrible comment and then adding, but she still likes him. And then they thank her for her honesty. And I'm just like, oh, it's hard to watch. So, episode 17, also at the end of episode 16, we see Felipe and Tori finally have a conversation. It seems like the cliffhanger is like they are about to separate. Okay. She breaks things off with them, says that she just can't do this anymore. Felipe goes downstairs. The guys rally around him as if they didn't just contribute to some of the demise of the evening. Maybe not relationship, but evening.
I think as I was watching them go back and forth in the room, the key thing that was being said without being said is Felipe was like, why do you care what everybody else thinks? Why do you care about everyone else's perception? The unsaid part is that it's also Tori's perception. That is what Tori thinks as well. Tori did not articulate that to him out loud, but what we've heard from her in her confessionals, what we've heard from her speaking with the other ladies, what we've heard from her speaking with her sister, is that she holds those perceptions and thoughts and ideas about Felipe as well. Felipe is only understanding it as if Tori is bothered because everybody else thinks it. No, Tori is bothered because that is her belief as well. And she's struggling to find any evidence that is refuting that belief. Time and time again, he proves that belief, those beliefs to be true. That was the unsaid part. That was the missing piece to their conversation, which really could have brought them, it could have taken their conversation in a different direction, because I see Tori struggling to say that like they're not just what everybody else is, it's me. And I see Felipe struggling with the connection between why is Tori so bothered by what everyone else thinks. So I actually understood why both of them were frustrated in that conversation. And I understood Felipe being like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Like, why does she care about everybody else? It's just the missing piece was that it's her. She believes these things along with everyone else based off of the evidence that you have given her, and she's struggling with what to do with that now. But again, the car situation was her clock out moment as well. This is just like another piece after it where everything is clicking for her at one time, which can feel like the room is closing in on you when all of these things are happening, and you're realizing all of this stuff at the same time. It can feel really claustrophobic.
Yes, I really felt for Tori because some of the stuff that she's like communicating to Felipe is not like groundbreaking, and he's not able to arrive at those own conclusions on his own. So having to like handhold him through a situation. And part of me, like, right, like she feels that way about Felipe because of who he has said he is. Like, if he didn't just at a dinner tell everyone publicly that he misses being a hoe and he wishes that he could sleep with a bunch of women because that's what he really misses about single life, people wouldn't have this perception of him, his fiance included. So it's just not being aware about what he's done to contribute to her feeling that way. Simultaneously, yeah, I understand that he's feeling flashbacks to partners who weren't proud to be with him, but let's assess deeper on, are you worthy of being proud to be with? Because right now, you're not. You're really not. But anyways, the guys rallied around Felipe, realizing that he was just broken up with. For some reason, it really made me laugh when Adam goes, "I'm texting her," like, like you're texting Tori. Like that just made me cackle because again, Adam was so excited to jump Felipe and be like, "Felipe," and like yell his name for every question, as well as call him a clown at every moment. So then seeing them hug him and support him and be like, what? Why are you guys? That should be the least surprising thing that happened this evening. It was also frustrating because here's Mecca trying to explain and go deeper on how Tori was perhaps feeling and offering her perspective. And yet you're unable to do that for Belle Jolie. So you do have the capacity to reflect, but you either don't think that Belle Jolie is worthy of that, or you're just not holding yourself to the same standard, like within your own relationship.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see people be introspective on other people's relationship. However, I will say that it is it can be easy to see from the outside in because you don't have to think about yourself and your feelings. You're literally just looking at what two people are saying and how they're experiencing the moment. But again, I think for Mecca, it's his own self-sabotaging that gets in his way. And that's why he's able to not process and digest his situation in the same way he can with other people's situation. I did cackle as well at Adam jumping to Felipe's side. Surprisingly enough, I hate to say it, Adam was the perfect amount of comic relief on this couple trip. When he said he was going to be stirring the pot, that man stirred the pot like he was on Big Brother. I would actually like to see Adam on Big. Adam should have been on Big Brother and found love on Big Brother rather than going on Married at First Sight, because Adam stirred that pot so sneakily and yet so out loud.
He's a game
This,
player.
oh
Mm-hmm.
my gosh, he is who Cameron thought he was going to be when he came into this trip, because Adam's like stirring the pot just enough that everybody laughs at it but still gets the drama started. I could not help but like Adam on these episodes, especially after Sean like poured water on him and like basically was like, cool it down, I apologize. And then Adam's like, damn, I don't have the vitriol for him anymore. I gotta joke around with some other people. But I did cackle at him coming to Felipe's rescue and saying, I'm gonna text her.
What do you?
um
I want to see the text that Adam said. Hey Tori, I didn't really mean to like kill the vibe between you and Felipe.
right?
Sorry.
You just lit the fire like during this game, like hilarious. But yeah, I did not like how long it took him to go and attend to Tori. I really thought that they were broken up for sure, but let's talk about the next episode, I guess.
I literally thought they were broken up for sure. So, a reminder, we are in episode 17. So now this was okay. It goes from everybody's trying to clue Felipe in as to why Tori's feelings are hurt, okay? And it goes from Mecca trying to offer a different perspective to Caitlyn and Felipe sitting down and having a conversation, which ultimately Sean joins in on because nothing sounds more fun to Sean than getting to add his 2 cents on their relationship and provide some advice that he won't follow, but he'll give, because again, he can give good advice. He says it's about protecting the we. I wrote that down. Yes, it is. That's a good point, Sean. So he does have some good things to say. This conversation turns heated. Caitlyn is fired up, and this is again what I'm saying. You're fired up for Tori after this. Why weren't you pissed about Mecca's comment that Beljolie just clued you in on? I wanted to see that energy at both, which is why I said what I said on the whole white feminism, Taylor Swift, weird politics of it all. But she gets passionate. And one thing I did think was interesting was I think that part of the reason, everything I've said about Caitlyn, I don't retract. But part of the reason that she doesn't like Devin is when he drinks, that triggers her to past relationships with people who abused substances or acted differently on them. I see it in Devin. When he drinks, he gets intense. Maybe not all the time, but this is why you cannot mix alcohol with unresolved issues in high stress situations, because things escalate. So as he's watching Caitlyn, he's sitting there and talking with Nikki. And I think Nikki was shocked too, based on her reaction. When he first points at Caitlyn, I thought it was about to be oh my God, she is so passionate. Like, I thought he was kind of like turned on by the situation, or like, that's my girl. Like, like standing up for someone else, sharing what's on her mind. I thought he was kind of proud of Caitlyn. So then for him to be like, she's toxic as fuck. And Nikki's like not really knowing how to navigate this situation. And she's like, well, I think she's actually in there trying to advocate on behalf of Tori. And I just thought it was interesting, his reaction to her. And I get it. She has not given him a lot of energy. So it's like, where did this come from? But I just found it interesting, his reaction to Caitlyn. And this is what I mean about them being incompatible on so many levels, even with how they deal with situations like this. Like Caitlyn's going to dive right in. Devin doesn't have much to say. He would rather talk about their relationship. And he's probably curious as to why Caitlyn has the time to consult others. And I don't blame him for that piece. Anything to say before I move past to Michelle? Girls are having a conversation. And this is where Michelle tells the other women that they should know their value. And it would make them more special to be able to walk away knowing that they deserve more than try to make it to decision day. Nikki feels called out because rightfully so. This feels like a directed at her. Michelle says it's actually about a little bit of everybody. And Nikki's like, that's a wild assumption to make about everybody's relationships as we are navigating them. Because Michelle, what are you saying? At this point, you're just saying everybody pack it up except for me and Cameron. We'll drive you all home. I felt like that was so judgmental. And that's my issue with Cameron and Michelle. You're not watching with compassion or even just be grateful that it's not you and just enjoy being happy in your couple. You're being judgy. What did you think?
I agree. I also think that just because a relationship does not have conflict, does not make it more healthy or sustainable than other relationships. I think conflict is a cornerstone to building relationships. Conflict does not have to look like you having a knockdown, drag out argument. It could just be you disagreeing, and how do you navigate that? We have not really seen that with Cameron or Michelle. And to be fair, it almost mirrors Adam and Marissa, where Cameron and Michelle are having the difficult, deeper conversations. They don't ever like dig really deep to find out like, where do you stand with this? What do you agree? What is your outlook on this? How do you perceive this situation? How would you handle this without just having the fluff conversation and then boom, okay, we move past it. Their difficult conversation at the beginning was around Michelle and fertility. And it was just more like this is fertility for me. This is when I would like to have kids. This is what it might look like. Boom. That was it. So again, where Adam and Marissa are like vibing out, bro. Um, it doesn't look like they're having deeper conversations, but they are experiencing some type of conflict that they're working through and maybe their communication style. Now, when it comes to Michelle having this conversation with the girls about their values and, you should just, don't try to wait until decision day. Michelle, you had some complaints about Cameron as well that have not really been addressed. And Cameron has mentioned to you a number of times that he doesn't know if he's ready to be married or like, what is this long-term commitment going to be like? How do we keep the passion alive? And a lot of his concerns, they're understanding, they're valid concerns, but in an experiment called Married at First Sight, and he's voicing that to you and you keep brushing that under the rug and making it seem like you guys are without fault, inappropriate. I'm glad Nikki called it out to basically say like, that's not fair. It's not a fair assessment of everyone else. Everyone else is having conflict or difficult conversations, and we're navigating through that, because that is truly what a relationship is navigating through different things, anything. And Michelle and Cameron are just acting like, yeah, we've navigated through it all. We're perfect. This is a match made in heaven. We have seen couples on Married at First Sight who are still married to this day, who have multiple children, who seemingly have good relationships, and they had conflict throughout their time on Married at First Sight. But it's the conflict that helped them understand what's coming next. How do we partner together? How do we work as a team? And Michelle and Cameron have not done that work. And so it's laughable for her to say that in front of the ladies about making sure you're sticking to your values and not just sticking it out to and again, this is not a competition. It's not a competition. Are you for your girls or not?
Completely agree. And it's like, it's easy to say that when you're happy in your relationship, but you're not sure how much patience you would have for Cameron if there were things to work through. So yeah, it just feels like easy to say.
That,
At some point in the conversation as well, Nikki did tell the girls what Sean said about her being a New York 7. And I mean, Michelle, you do get 1 point for saying, what does he think he is? It's a good question. We don't have to answer it and be disrespectful, but what do you think he is? I'm just kidding. So they play another awful game, right? Producers just basically unleashed on them during this couples retreat. And that's because they didn't have a Madison, Michelle, David, Allen situation where people were hooking up.
I mean,
They didn't
I
need to
feel
do
like
shit.
I feel like they almost did have a Madison, David, Michelle. Okay, keep going.
And it's always by their own design because you know who's compatible at the fucking beginning of this. So it's always your guys' fault. But so the question is asked, they're asked more horrible questions. Who would be your match if your current match you weren't with, okay? Or if it was a mistake and you were supposed to be matched with someone else. Belle Jolie is asked this question. And Belle Jolie and Mecca. And she answers Tori. And
That was just Belle Jolie's question.
okay,
Mecca did
perfect.
not even need to answer that. I just wanted to throw that out there.
I appreciate that. This was not a duo. You didn't need to, once again, didn't need to answer. Once again, Mecca answering. So she answers Tori. I did cackle again, another point for Adam, when they like got close to each other and Adam said, "What is this, girls?" Tori and Marissa. "What is this, girls? A fourth grade sleepover?" It was horrible. I don't know why, but that was so funny to me. Like, what? Oh my God. Okay. I thought he was at first like jealous, and then like to hear the rest of what came out of his mouth, I'm just like, oh, okay.
I mean, I'm telling you, Adam had the perfect comedic relief throughout this couples retreat. Or this, I found him likable for the first time in this whole show. I found him very likable, and I was like, okay, Marissa, the laughs are there. You know, he's a funny guy. I thought he was hilarious.
He can be very funny. He can be. I don't like your response to Sean still. I still think there's some isms and some something under there, but he can be funny. And even though he's not using his robust vocabulary every day, which is still such a valid call out, Sean was right. Like he clearly is. He does have a lot going up on in there because like his interrogation of Mecca and lines of questioning and even jokes and like you said comedic timing, it's not all showman, the piano man. And Marissa talks on that in this upcoming episode, but we're going to fly through. Mecca didn't have to answer. He does. I don't even know how, unprompted. He answers that Michelle and Caitlin would be who he would pick. Caitlin is tickled by this, clearly. Feet kicking, face blushing, like she's
Tickled pink.
tickled pink over this. To go from that proclamation to them going outside and having a conversation for 15 minutes, laughing, being friendly, the body language. She's laughing about his comment. Mind you, earlier in the night, Mecca had pulled her aside to tell her something about his issues with Belle Jolie. Red flag, don't pull her aside, okay? It's not like your best friend who's a girl of 15 years that you have known forever. This is Caitlin, the other girl that you're attracted to, talking about our relationship issues. And her response then was, oh my God, I feel like such a cool girl that I'm in on this. So you're picked again. Congratulations. The prize is a bag of poop. Like, I don't know. Like, you don't get any prize, basically. So you're out there and they're talking and they're flirting, and Devin is getting more mad by the second because, again, this is a bad combination. To call out, Caitlin is dead wrong. She lost me completely, even from her response to their conversation earlier. Adam's picking at the situation. Devin's sitting there. Oh, what are you gonna do, bro? Let your girl get raised up by Mecca? Oh, Mecca's gonna warm her up for you? And then finally he was like, no, seriously, what is this situation? It's getting more, and to be fair, what is this situation, right? They're behind glass. Like, we can see everything. The audacity of it to be right there was crazy, but not the most audacious thing that night. They come in. Devin's a little upset, right? But it seems like we fast forward a number of hours and it's now later in the night. People have drank more. Caitlin's in the kitchen. Mecca comes up behind her, puts his chain around her. Next scene. Beljolie and Caitlin on the couch together. Mecca pretty much laying over top of them. Taking Caitlin's hand, pinky kissing it in front of Beljolie. Cut to Devin, Mecca, Beljolie, and Caitlin on the couch. Devin's pissed. Devin and Caitlin are arguing. He had already told her earlier, don't disrespect me, don't cut me off. Again, it's heightened. I found this whole thing pissed me off. Number one, I hate that we didn't get to hear from Beljolie. It's crazy how he embarrassed her like that yet again. It was so odd that they were like sitting there, like all of them together, and yet it was like just Caitlin and Devin. And Mecca was also kind of like laughing and like smiling during this. Things heighten. Caitlin tells Devin to go fuck himself. The only thing I want to say is this is what I meant about Devin's body language. When he was sitting there and getting in Caitlin's face, that's not appropriate. And that's the exact behavior that makes people nervous when someone drinks. Earlier in the night, Devin told the guys about how Caitlin gave him the green light. They had gotten into an argument about intimacy. He got the green light because he found out during the argument that she actually does want to have sex. The guys were bigging him up and telling him, tonight's your night. Tonight's the night, man. So for Devin to have it in his head that tonight he's getting laid, Caitlin's interested, not going to decline his advances, and then to flirt with Mecca, he was pissed. He thought he was going to get laid. Like, so Caitlin's still dead wrong, but like a lot of the anger in the situation was just a storm of things being uncomfortable. But most of all, Mecca, Caitlin, you guys are embarrassing. You guys are humiliating. Caitlin, I have more of a problem with the fact that you did that to Beljolie. Like, I'm just disgusted.
I had PTSD from last season. I was like, oh my God, not another couple swap, not somebody else getting on here. And the whole season now makes sense because they're actually interested in the other person. It was a whole lot to unpack. I also want to go back at the beginning of this episode is when Michelle tells Caitlin about the guys' conversation, including Mecca about Beljolie. And we see Caitlin laugh at finding out what Mecca has said about Beljolie. And we could chalk that up to maybe being a nervous laugh or like an awkward, oh my God, I can't believe he said that laugh, like whatever the case may be. But I feel like that adds context a little bit to this situation. So we see Caitlin react to that. We get to this stupid game where Mecca responds, even though the bottle was not on him, the bottle was on Beljolie. I thought Beljolie's answer was very classy and very, very cute. I don't feel comfortable picking any of you guys. I'm picking Tori. Great, perfect, neutral. Honestly, if Mecca wanted to answer, that was his out to pick Tori as well. Like, I'm gonna pick Tori too. You know, piece of cake, whatever. He does not have any consideration for Beljolie, especially when it comes to group settings. And then we see Caitlin and Mecca outside by the fire pit talking. The body language was so interesting because Mecca's leaned back, chilling in this chair, and Caitlin is sitting on the fire pit, like leaned in and super engaged in the conversation. Mind you, we just saw a date with Devin and Caitlin from earlier that day, and they're sitting on a rock. And I felt like Caitlin couldn't get any further on the opposite side of that rock from Devin. And this also adds context to this conversation that they had in the evening time around Devin saying, when we're in conversation, I don't want you talking to me in this way. That cannot happen anymore. And I'm glad he finally said it. I'm glad he said it as firmly as he did, because when you are in a relationship and in a marriage, respect is needed. Like, that's a boundary that you should never cross, which is disrespecting the other person. And I think Devin was finally saying that out loud. Like, that is not how he operates in a way of disrespect. I think he becomes very defensive when he feels like Caitlin is disrespecting him and the languaging that she chooses. So Devin says that out loud. And then even when he says, I didn't even know you were giving me signs that like you were interested in that, because to be honest, to Devin's credit, a scratch on the back, a rub on the shoulder, a lean in, that doesn't mean anything. That could just mean like we're having a good time, we're comfortable. Maybe a couple of drinks are flowing. Cool. So I'm glad Devin was like, I didn't know that was the case. Like, I'm glad that I know now. But even then, we hear Caitlin police how Devin talks. Like, Devin cannot do anything right. I think Devin said something about like banging you, or I don't know, something sex wise. And she's like, I don't love that language. And he goes, my apologies, corrects. Okay, cool. But again, this is all adding context to later on in the evening. So Kaylin, Mecca outside by the fire pit, Adam stirring his witch's brew over there, making the commentary in Devin's ear, because he's not wrong. Adam was actually not wrong. Now, Adam was being messy, but he was not incorrect. You gonna let Mecca, like, Caitlin's out there smiling, giggling. Adam and Marissa just went somewhere with and Devin and Caitlin to that concert where Caitlin didn't even like get off of her phone to pay attention to Devin or dance with him. And yet she's outside giggling with Mecca, having a grand old time. Right after Mecca chose her for if he would have picked a different spouse. Very weird. That the tone is set. It's super awkward. So I could see Devin, of course, again, Adam's in his ear. He's getting more worked up, but I think he was already getting irritated from the night. Irritated with Mecca, irritated with Caitlin. And then we do see them on the couch and the kissing from the pinky promise. Devin is standing in the vicinity. Like, okay, that's weird. Devin can't even touch Caitlin without Caitlin damn near jumping out of her skin. And yet her and Mecca seem to have this really cool friendship all of a sudden. I don't think they've had much one-on-one time or even double date time, but now they're in this house and they seem to be like the best buds. And then them sitting on the couch. So I thought the positioning on the couch was interesting as well, because we had Beljolie, Devin, Caitlin, Mecca. So Beljolie and Mecca are not even sitting next to each other. Mecca's sitting next to Caitlin, or at least sitting on the same side of the couch when this argument erupts. I 100% agree. Devin's posturing was inappropriate. The drinks are flowing, and Devin pointing and getting in her face, inappropriate. 1000%. Do I feel like as well that Devin had been bubbling from the whole entire day and his frustration leading up to that moment? Absolutely. Do I also feel like Caitlin added fuel to that frustration, even in that moment, by saying F you to Devin? Absolutely. Devin was inappropriate, but the frustration is understandable after everything that had transpired, probably within like 3 hours, between the game, the fire pit, the pinky promise, the putting on the chain, to getting them to there on that couch. I'm glad that Devin got up and walked away. I'm very thankful for that, because that situation did not need to be any further. It absolutely needed to be diffused. But that was a crazy turn of events, right? I do believe that Caitlin eggs Devin on and is not as respectful when they are having disagreements. And I do believe that Devin's drinking triggers Caitlyn to react anyways. So they were not compatible with each other. They could not ever get on the same page. They really struggled to speak each other's language. And it ended up being very difficult to watch this last episode because you just see them like go up in flames. You start off the day with saying like, I'm giving you the green light, to ending with, we need to break up. And Caitlyn damn near flirting with Mecca. What a disaster. What a shit show. Glad it's over. Go home.
Glad it's over. Glad they're broken up. Go home. Listen, anybody would be upset in this situation. I think, and I know people aren't going to like this, and that's totally fine. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. But look at Belle Jolie's response. Mecca's pulled Caitlyn for a conversation. Mecca is out there as well. And look at her reaction versus look at Devin's. And I definitely believe that alcohol can exacerbate situations, but I also believe behavior is present, sober or not. And I think like there's something about Devin that just doesn't sit right with me. I think Caitlyn is completely at fault. I think she's mad disrespectful. I think it's disgusting what she did, especially to Belle Jolie. I don't think she's been a good partner to Devin, but something about him is off. Something about his temperament, something about him to me doesn't match what I'm being presented. And I think you can say you're a nice guy, but to be a nice guy and like not have that intensity, like I just think there's a difference. People would say that like Nick let Courtney walk all over him, but like that's the type of partner that I think Caitlyn needed. Like I think she needs somebody who doesn't talk over her and will listen to Taylor Swift. And there's also, I don't know if you've seen this because I'm going to talk about this at the end because we're about to get into episode 18, but there's been a lot of stuff that's come out online because the cast has new contracts and they're on threads, they're talking, stuff's coming out. When people end up finding out that Devin is not as nice as a guy as he's presenting to be, I just want people to come back and we'll have a separate conversation because he's been said to have had a serious girlfriend that he broke up with just to come on the show and get married at first sight. And to me, if that's true, that's what you get. You get a partner like Caitlyn. You get someone who's not going to give you any attention, time, or affection. And you get to ask yourself, why did I do that? You know, like I would have said the same about Adam had Marissa been extremely cold to him. I would have laughed and been like, that's what you get. We listened to you end things with your situationship. You weren't unlucky in love. You had it. You had your options. So for me, I'm like, listen, if any of that's what I want the show to be about. People can say that maybe the show's not cut out for me then. But I want people to come on the show who are unlucky in love, not breaking up with someone to come on, not 6 situationships. Like I want people who want to be married, are ready to be married, ready to have a match that's compatible for them. And yeah, I think that if you break up, I think that you're the opposite of what I was looking for on the show. So he may or may not fall into that. So Caitlyn and Devin wrap their evening by calling it. And in the morning, we will get to see everybody's reaction to it. But the episode ends with the knowledge that they are not going to be together. They're done with the experience. And like we said, thank God. We're done. We're going to go back for a second because we skipped over something earlier in episode 17 where we were all at dinner, and this was when Nikki shared the comment of what Sean said about the 7 to 10.
So I wanted to talk about the dinner before we wrap up this episode for a couple of different reasons. First of all, we saw Michelle tell Belle Jolie about what Mecca had said about her in front of all the guys, and we kind of see Michelle relic in that comment that Mecca made. And Belle Jolie, you can immediately tell she's pissed about it. And she's like, okay. So she goes into the dinner pissed about it, rightfully so, because they just had a conversation before even coming to this couple's getaway about his commentary, right? And we've seen Beljolie be pretty like upfront with commentary and checking Mecca and being like, I don't like this. It really irritated me at this dinner when Nikki brings up Sean's comment about the Seattle 10, New York 7. For one, I don't think that that was appropriate to bring up when Sean was not there in front of the group. If you bring it up one on one with the ladies, you talk about it because they were having the conversation about men putting their foot in their mouths. Okay. I don't necessarily love that it was brought up in front of the table for the other couples to have commentary on because Sean was not there to defend himself. If Sean was as guilty as Nikki has purported it to be, I still don't think it was fair for that to come up at this table after she's has addressed it 3 times or 2 times with the ladies. Let it be there. And if the opportunity comes back up when you want to talk about it in front of other people, fine. I was a little uncomfortable with that because, again, I feel like when you're on a show like this with your partner, with someone else, give that person the opportunity to defend themselves, especially their commentary was not kind, right? All in all, Nikki says her piece. She says how her and Sean got over it. Jolie speaks up and says, I'm gonna be real with you. It should be a hell no from you, Nikki. And she goes off on this really long reason why it should be a hell no. And then as we're all listening, it's really Jolie projecting from her feelings from Mecca and the information she just gathered and placing it on Nikki and Sean. I did not like that conversation at all. I did not like, again, Jolie voicing her opinion about Sean, and Sean is not present to either just take in the information or defend himself with Nikki. I did not care for Jolie checking Sean. And for the first time, I felt like in the show, she was not addressing Mecca. This would have been the perfect table to out loud address Mecca and his commentary with the guys. Instead, this is the part where we see Mecca talk to Caitlin on the side, like, the vibes are off, right? Kind of like, is this song about me? And then we see Jolie and Mecca go and have that conversation on the side where Jolie is immediately like, it's okay. I get it. I forgive you. Whatever, let's just move past it. That was very, very, very weird to watch. At this point, I feel like I'm watching Jolie go against her gut feeling and go against what she would have done if this was in a different situation with any other guy that she was talking to. Almost to mask like Michelle and Cameron. Everything's good. We can move past it. Nikki and Sean are the problem. Nikki and Sean are the ones that should not be together because look at how Sean talks about Nikki. Mecca's talking about you in the same kind of way, to your face and behind your back. And might I add, it is more disrespectful because we haven't seen Sean get around the fellas and talk that kind of dirt about Nikki in the way that Mecca does. So I did not like the conversation at that dinner and how Jolie approached it. I felt like she had all the smoke for Sean, zero smoke for Mecca, and Sean was not even there to defend himself, all of those things. I did like that Nikki checked Michelle at that table for dinner, but the Jolie, Mecca, Nikki Sean situation, I was not a fan of that discourse at all.
I think that I might have like read the situation differently because I feel like Jolie is doing what a great partner would do if Mecca reciprocated that. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that she has to change how she's moving because of how he is treating her. But, like, I think she would like to be with a partner where I'm protecting us as a unit and having this conversation later because I'm of the impression that you're doing the same and we have a common goal. And like, because he's not, yeah, I felt like that was like an outlet for her. Like, I felt like that was like an outlet to be like, Sean, but look at Mecca. And you know what I mean? Like, I felt like she got to say everything she felt, but hadn't said to him because she's trying to give him grace and be kind and not make him retreat from her and scare him off. But yeah, I almost feel like she needed that. And as far as Nikki saying it without Sean present, I definitely see what you mean about like him being present to defend himself. Simultaneously, I just don't know. I I was glad to see her be able to express herself without him there. Like just like actually hear some truth as to how she's feeling that day or what she is concerned about. And I felt like that was an outlet for Nikki as well to sort of not have to hear Sean intellectualize or defend his behavior, but sort of hear people's opinions like without him there to offer his perspective. So I felt like she kind of maybe needed that because she's not telling her mom everything, because if they do work it out, she wants to still bring him around and not lose, like you said, Christmas invites. So it's like a balance.
I feel like Nikki doesn't have a problem, or she hasn't run into any issues where she's not able to be expressive and be honest amongst the group when Sean is there. From the first dinner that they had, Nikki was able to say in full the experiences that she's had, how their relationship is gone, what she doesn't like, what she needs changed. And you see Sean be really quiet and wait. I don't see Sean be as combative with the group. One on one, he absolutely intellectualizes everything and wants to go on these really long, drawn out journeys and roads and conversations with Nikki. But in front of the group, I tend to see Nikki lead the conversation around the relationship, or at least have the space to be honest. So that is why I call out, like, now you're venting and being honest, but without Sean there to not be able to back himself up. Because I do feel like this is a situation where Sean should be able to back himself up. And they did have a similar situation like that at one of their dinners where Nikki said this was her perspective. And Sean went, well, that was not my perspective. And they were able to come to an understanding later on. So I did not like that conversation was being had. I totally would agree with you if we had seen Sean shut Nikki down in front of the group multiple times before as she's trying to express herself. We usually just see that with them behind closed doors when they're trying to win the conversation. But I didn't feel like that was the case here. But I totally agree that the way Beljolie handles her and Mecca's situation is in protection of the relationship, which is commendable. But Mecca is not doing that for you at all in front of the group. Where it's almost like if the situations were swapped. If Nikki was with Mecca and then Mecca's not there, now Nikki can speak up and be like, these are the things that I'm experiencing. Isn't that fucked up, you guys? And then Mecca is not there, so he's not there to like mess up the whole conversation. Except with Beljolie keeps it chill. They talk about it at home, or she will bring it up at home. But Mecca is like so flippant when she's not there. I feel like that was her opportunity to say it out loud in front of the group, see how he reacts in front of the rest of the group. Because she's only seen him address it when they're one on one. And like the last time, she had to convince him, like, that is what you said. Oh, yeah, you're right. Now that I think about it, I did say that. That was messed up. No, I want to hear how you talk about how you address what you said about me when I'm not present in front of the people that you said it in front of. That was the perfect time, the perfect place for her to bring that up and air out some grievances. So I felt like she had a lot of smoke for Sean, or a lot more vitriol when it was just her, Michelle, and Nikki, but then none for the perpetrator in the situation at that time.
Yes. Okay. So I agree with some, I disagree with some. Like I think that I agree. Like Jolie has more smoke for Sean than with Mecca. I think that as far as like Nikki and Sean and her bringing that situation to the group, Sean gaslit Nikki about a very serious issue. And because of that, I don't trust his version of events. So he can sit there and say, no, she pulled at my stomach. I don't care. Like, to me, now I don't trust you, because if there wasn't video evidence, the way that you talk and intellectualize and place yourself as such a valid source or respectable source or believable source, like, I would believe him. Like, I would just believe what he's saying if there wasn't proof. And I think that, because I think it's almost, and not that one is worse than the other, but it's just as bad that he's combative when it's just the two of them, because then it's like, okay, the only time that she gets to have her feelings validated is in a group setting. Like, that's the only time where Sean's not going to react the way he would or respond to her the way he would if it was just the two of them talking. So I feel like, yeah, like, she has needed, and she has tried really hard to protect them as well. Like, I remember her whispering to Sean and saying, I'm trying to figure out a respectful way to talk about where we're at. And then when she did in a subsequent dinner, everybody jumped on her for her wording of 5-5. So I just feel like she's been not really having a space to, like, be validated by people who are going through the same experience, because of wanting to protect Sean, protect the relationship, maybe guard herself from his reaction and just not want to hear it for 5 minutes, what his response is. So I sort of understood her telling them, like, I didn't need him present there, but I did laugh at her transparency later to just tell him, yeah, I told them about the comment. Like, it was for her to just say, I told them about the comment. It seems like the theme of the evening was men putting the foot in their mouth. That made me laugh a little to just hear how candidly she told him about what she had shared with the group. But that's just my perspective. I love that we each offer our own perspectives. Not saying that either of us is right. I think that both are perspectives that need to be added to the conversation so that we can point out two separate things. So we hit the dinner. Now we're going to go back forward. We're going to get into episode 18. We're going to fly through this. There's not that much that we want to talk about, so we're going to fly. Everyone was shook, okay, when they got the news in the morning. Everyone's in the kitchen. They're hearing that Caitlin and Devin are calling it quits. I don't know why everyone's shook, but they are, right? They're like, oh my God. And basically we hear Adam say at some point, hey, rumor is you were trying to do a couple swap last night. And he's like, what? No. And he's like, well, you were yapping about it. So I'm wondering if there was more that we missed, or if this is in reference to the chain, the pinky, the flirtations. I'm confused by that. Oh, that's when we see it. Okay, yes. Adam says there were rumors that you were trying to do a couple swap. Then we see the footage. Okay, because even though we've already talked about this is where we got the replay of all the extracurriculars that were going on once cameras were down in the in-house filming. I asked in my notes, why is Belle being silenced? Why is Belle Jolie being silenced? I don't know. I don't believe she's silent about it. I believe she's had some commentary. I believe she either said something while the four of them were sat there, or to Mecca, and I just don't understand why we're not getting any of that. It feels very odd. When Devin says that he's heading out, he goes to Mecca and Belle Jolie's room. This is another instance of exactly what I'm talking about. He tells Mecca, I'm leaving. Mecca says, I can't help but feel like some of this is my fault. He says, listen, a line was crossed, but Caitlin responded to it. How the fuck is there's nothing to say about this? Like, he's I was just, this flabbergasted me. I was shook how there's no commentary, because I wouldn't be able to sit there while Mecca owns Flirting and want to be with him. I'm packing too. Devin, we're going together.
In some of the earlier episodes that we recapped, one of my commentaries about Belle Jolie is that she's going to like Mecca and have a lot more understanding for Mecca, to the detriment of recognizing when it's time to choose herself. And I feel like that is what is showing up right now. Do I believe she had more commentary? 1000%. I think she had some commentary that night for Mecca, probably in the room. And she probably had more commentary after Devin left from that morning. But I think that what I'm at least witnessing is Beljolie choosing to be married over the red flags that are clearly present that she is seeing in real time. And I feel like at this point, from the dinner from the night before to this morning, and the towards the end of the episode, I feel like we see her having this internal battle about wanting to be married to this guy who has this potential and just wanting to be married, versus the red flags that she sees and the unknown. And what would she do if this was like a different situation, if this was not married at first sight? And I feel like I'm seeing her having that internal battle over not being able to recognize or not choosing to act on the very obvious red flags. But I do wish we would have seen some more commentary. I'm not sure if producers felt like that commentary was necessary for this particular storyline, because at the end of the day, she still looks like she is leaning towards choosing to say yes to Mecca. So maybe they didn't find that commentary prudent to what the story that they're trying to tell. But I do think that she had a lot more to say, and I think she had a lot more to say that evening.
I definitely agree that she's battling herself. Like, I think she's battling trusting the process, trusting the experiments, wanting to believe in love, seeing his potential, and not wanting to tolerate who he is in the interim, do all of the work, shoulder all of the responsibility. And especially not when you're with someone who, yeah, like, he needs therapy. He can't properly even like be grateful to her and see her for all that she's doing. She's just going to have to shrink herself and diminish herself in order to stay with him. So I just couldn't help but wonder, why isn't Beljolie calling it? Like, especially as Devin was leaving, I think that there's a lot of mixed signals. Like, I think sometimes Mecca can show that he can be so kind and does the things that a husband should do, and at other times he's so harsh that it takes her off. And I think that she really wanted to trust this experience. We see Caitlin crying because she did love some of the things that Devin did. Don't care, Caitlin. Now's not the time.
Couldn't tell.
Yeah, right, exactly. A piece of me, small piece, recognizes that Caitlin is someone who's been through trauma, and she probably does self-sabotage things. She probably did test Devin. She probably was. Something felt off. She didn't completely trust him. Something was off. And I think it probably does hurt her that he was so patient and how things ended up turning out. But that's pretty much all the grace I can give you and all the time that I can give you on that matter. We see everybody head back. Caitlin goes back with Cameron and Michelle. We see Nikki, Beljolie, and Mecca. They drive back together. He calls himself an idiot, says that he does things at the expense of others. I noticed that he didn't name the other who's right in the car, Beljolie. That's who you harmed in this situation, because who gives a fuck about Devin? That's not your wife. Like, you were hurtful to Beljolie. And she still has to tell him, Mecca, don't call yourself an idiot. Don't talk down on yourself. I just hate the position that she has to be in this relationship. Meanwhile, Tori, Felipe, Marissa, and Adam are riding back together, joking about their favorite part of the experience was their first fight. Adam says, yeah, you guys walked so Caitlin and Devin could run. Again, fortunately, another point for Adam. That was funny. And yeah, we're sort of just seeing him and I almost called it Marissa jive more, like, in these episodes. Like, I'm seeing a little bit more than just activities. Sean comes in because, again, remember, he only got to spend the first day there. He went halfway across the country. Marissa said continent, which sent me, but halfway across the country to see his family. And he walks in and he says, I know my wife is home because of a couple things. Nikki's luggage is blocking the door. That did make me laugh a little. And it was very sweet. This is where I'm like, Nikki tries. Like sometimes they're like, they both at times have tried in this process. Her drinking the Earl Grey tea, staying up for him, coming to give him a hug. Like you could tell that seemed genuine to me. That didn't seem put on or forced. I feel like she genuinely wanted to stay up for him, greet him, have a conversation. Anything to say before I keep going? Perfect. Things go south after that, though, unfortunately. Earl Grey tea wasn't strong enough to stop what's coming. Felipe goes to lunch with his friend Nana and his mom and talks about the uncertainty that he feels with Tori and how it's hard for him to be his true self with her because he keeps getting in trouble. Is it a part of your personality or is it a character flaw? Like you can love to be the center of attention, like Tori was saying, without and still have some discernment. Still have some discernment for how you're acting. To be honest, like this conversation was like a bit of a nothing burger. We're just getting more uncertainty from Felipe. We've heard him talk about it this entire time. Mecca and Beljo Lee talk in the park. I didn't know if Mecca broke his glasses or if this was a style, but not needless to say, it was interesting to me. I thought it was a statement, if you will. Gray glasses. They're sitting in the park. I fast forwarded. I didn't want to see it because the next conversation I heard them talking about was whether or not they're at Love Island or Hideaway Park, or I can't even think of the terms, where they are in their relationship. If you recall, when they sat there, was this conversation more of that? Where are we in our relationship? Are we on Love Island or are we out in the water? That was that, right?
You described it perfectly. It was a nothing burger.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where some of my commentary came from around like Belgioly not really addressing Mecca. It was more of that. It was like what are we looking forward to? You know, what's to come. Again, if you're not really going to address Mecca on the things that are truly ailing you and like on your mind, then what are we doing? Again, a nothing burger. We can keep going.
And there's like speaking in code. Like they do it again in their later conversation. Like I don't know what's happening. It goes from sounding like Beljo Lee is in love and Mecca's not there yet to Mecca making it sound like he's more far along than Beljo Lee and seeing if she can match his feelings. I found it
Yes.
very confusing.
Absolutely. I think this all goes back to the commentary that the expert Paul placed on them to be like, I think you guys are there. You're just not saying it. That muddied so much
Mm.
of their waters. And it has colored all of their conversations thus forward. Who's going to say, I love you first? If you feel this way, like, that is what we're seeing right now is both of them having Paul in their head being like, I think Belgioly already loves you. She's just not really, she hasn't said it yet. And so that's what all these conversations are really centered around. And then we hear Belgioly on their last conversation before departing for the evening week. I don't know how long they've been without each other. Saying that, well, Mecca's saying all the things that he loves about me. It just is like, so you love me. It's like, oh my gosh, I wish Paul would have never introduced that conversation to them because it added so much pressure about who is in love with who and who's going to say it first. And do I feel it right now? Or is he just avoiding saying it? It's like, it's unnecessary pressure that they did not need. And that's what you see them going through right now.
That is such a good call out. Yeah, like that muddied things. The comparison between the couples was already hard enough going to dinners, but like adding that component, and we'll jump there to their last evening because that's at the back half of this episode. Really quickly, I'm going to hit that Nikki and Sean do dinner. She tells him about the weekend. We talked about this briefly. This is where she tells him, I told the girls after the theme of the night was men putting their foot in the mouth that you said I'm a 7. I didn't know the intention of that. Sean says, wait, you grabbed my belly. Do you remember that? And said, hey, fatty, or whatever he said. I didn't write down what he said, but said something, grabbed his stomach, said something. And that was his. There's two words I could use here. I could use response, I could use retaliation. I think that if that happened, okay, you were being retaliative, and still it fits into the theme of the night of humbling women, because you had to respond to that. Like, it couldn't just be.
I'm gonna go with that is exactly how the situation went. I believe Sean. And again, I told you at the beginning of this recap, my husband saw that part and he was like, we're missing some context. And he left the room after that, and I continued to watch the show. And when that scene happened, I was like, the context. We did not unfortunately get to see the full of like how she even got to grabbing his belly and shaking it and saying, we've got some work to do. That is what he said that she said. We don't see Nikki refute that. She goes, I don't quite remember that. But it wasn't the same kind of like, I did not say that she has said earlier in the season. Again, I think that this matters because it's unfair of her to phrase it as if Sean out of nowhere said that you're a 10 in Seattle and a 7 in New York. There is context. And that is why I felt like at the dinner, that was not an appropriate time for her to bring it up in front of everyone. I forgot to mention this when you were talking about the dinner. There have been plenty of times where Nikki has not been supported by the group, where everybody takes Sean's side. So I do want to agree that Nikki deserved a lot more support, more evenly, even if it was just from the ladies. Anyways, jumping to this, that context matters. It was retaliatory or it was petty on Sean to come back with that commentary for Nikki. I don't agree with that. I think it was petty, childish, all the things, right? But that context matters for how they got there, because the way she was repeating it to the group made it sound like Sean was strictly trying to humble her. Randomly, you're a Seattle 10, but a New York 7. The girl shook his belly and said, we've got some work to do, which probably triggered Sean to be like, well, now I got to defend myself. Cause like, dang girl, again, we don't know the context about that full conversation, but I do think that context very much mattered in the way she brought it up with the group, which is why I think when she brought it up with the ladies and the group, she was quick to say, but we worked through it, we addressed it, we're feeling really good, we've been able to move positively, because it wasn't just, he said that, foot in the mouth, who cares? No, it sounds like she said something, he said something, they come to a resolution, apologies were shared, moving on. That all was missed when she shared that with the ladies and the group. It does not make his commentary right. I want everybody in the comments to know that it does not make his commentary right. Very petty, very childish. But the context matters when you are discussing how your partner has showed up for you or said something that was disappointing or rude. The context of that matters. I appreciate her bringing it straight up to Sean, being like, I told the group what happened. I also told them how we got through it and past it. And yeah, I thought the conversation was good. They're sitting there having the dinner. The dinner is cute. They've had really cute moments. But I did think that was unfair to bring it up like that and just leave out how y'all got there. Why was you shaking that man's belly, girl? What's going on?
I don't trust Sean. I'm like, before that, it was you saying something like, do you love my washboard abs? Like, are you making a joke that like your new wife like can't agree? Did you ask? Like, do you like need me to do any work? Like, to me, I'm just like, I have seen him, and we're about to talk about it. I've seen him or reduce her down or just cut something off that she's trying to communicate to him like so many times that I don't believe that like he didn't play a part like prior to that conversation. Whether you asked something that you didn't want the answer to or not, maybe. And I feel like that's the difference. Like Sean, to me, instead of being defensive, I'll take the flack from this. Okay. Instead of being defensive, I feel like number one, I wish we could see the context of the situation. But he could be like, yeah, but I'm your teddy bear. Or she could have said, like, but I love the fluff. Like, it's just like he could just own the fact that he has a really hot wife with a really tight body and he has a dad bod and it is what it is. And yeah, I like to eat. I do. And this belly, you're right, it's going to stay here for you. Watch me belly flop. Sure, that might be an ick to her, but I wish it would be like a little bit more light. You know what I mean? Than okay, New York 7. Like I wish it was like just a little more lighter with them.
I don't disagree with that. I
Right?
I too wish that they were more playful with each other.
Right.
But I still believe that the context matters if you bring it up to the group and to the girls in a certain way. You have to give the context for the conversation. You have to share that, like, I mean, I wasn't the nicest. I didn't say the nicest thing to him, but he didn't have to say that to me. That I don't think you're wrong. I totally agree. He could have played into it. He could have done so many different things, but instead he reacted petty, immature, whatever. But the context matters strictly for how she brought the conversation, she presented the conversation to the girls and to the group. If you're not going to allow him to say like, well, this is the context and I could have handled that better, which it sounds like they quickly came to that resolution after that comment. But she did not say that to the girls or to the group. The concentration was on, he put his foot in his mouth, which is why I'm not going to argue that her bringing it up in front of the ladies, fine. That's girl talk, almost like locker room talk for guys. Getting it off your chest, it annoyed you. Like, I did not like that commentary. They can all go, yeah, girl, you don't deserve that. But bringing it up to the group without the context is the part that bothers me because you brought it up for further dissection without Sean being there, no matter how you got to this commentary or how he got to the commentary. He could have reacted differently, but for me it's just about, like, you brought it to the group and you brought it to the group kind of flippant, like, and it wasn't really for a resolution because you said you found a resolution, but like, girl, that matters. But Sean, again, to your point, you could have played into it, dude. Like, I felt like if he was more secure with himself and his space in the relationship, it could have opened up a lot of opportunities for him to react differently. But they're always coming, like, they bump heads quite often. And so I feel like it's always to one up on the insults, and that is what he was doing. He was trying to, instead of taking it as a laughing matter, it could have been brought up as a joke. He wanted to one up on the humble scale. I don't disagree with you on that. It's just about how she brought it up. I didn't think that was fair without the context.
I get it. I totally get that. And yeah, I can agree with that. Like having the full context of the situation. But if they're sitting and talking about times where you felt humbled and she's like, "Well, that's my contribution. That's the time." And I'm talking about his behavior, not mine. So that's what he did and said. Like, did I say anything? Maybe, but that's for the next round of conversations, which is what did you do to pick at your partner? Like, then I'll answer that. And then we'll talk about my behavior. I'm totally kidding and saying this in jest. We're going to fly through the rest because we have been talking 2 hours plus, and I'm so glad to have had your time. So we're going to fly through. Marissa and Adam are sick. This is the only time that they have been resting together. Again, this is a moment where we get to see some connection between the two of them outside of them doing the same activity or watching Adam eat a T-bone steak. So yeah, it was sort of nice to see the two of them relax, be able to be normal people together. Felipe gifts Tori an album of photos, reassures her about how great she is, how lucky he is to have found someone like her. She reciprocates those feelings, and it seems like shit is sailing well until we'll get back Cameron and Michelle have a emotional dinner. They talk about their feelings. They both cry. They get on the Ferris wheel. Good for them. They're feeling good right now. Moving past. Mecca and Beljolie are still talking about the islands. He reads her mind, claims that she's sitting there thinking about how attractive he is, how great she is, but this dude really annoys me. And Jolie is confused how he can sit there and list all the things he loves about her and not make the correlation that that's her. My answer to that is because it's service based. That's not you as your being. You are not just the things that are helpful to him in his life. You are a whole person with tons of different personality traits and passions and things that make you come to life, things that make you come alive, things that deflate you. You're not 2D, okay? Like, you're not flattened to what he is saying your relationship is, which is she supports me, she nurtures me, she takes such good care of me. I wish Beljolie was able to be told that. Like, it's not just about you. It's about what you're doing for him. Like, but does he love you? All the couples pack up the night before their decision day. We see that Adam is sad to see Marissa go. Hold on. Oh yeah. Everybody pretty much has an okay split, except for Sean and Nikki. Okay. She's packing up. He takes her stuff out for them. He asks her to put her feelings into words. How is she feeling? And she gives him an answer, to which he says, okay, I don't need to have a speech. Like, you don't have to give me a whole speech. And she's like, okay. And he's like, no, go ahead. Give me the speech. I'll hear it. And she's like, no, now I don't want to, because he shut her down. This is what I mean. Sean isn't self-aware. He can't just accept the fact that he got exactly what he asked for in the process and Nikki didn't. He also can't accept that the things that he doesn't like about Nikki, they were matched because that's how you are. You like to talk. You have a lot of intelligent stuff to say. You'll give a full detailed explanation of what your feelings mean. And to have it reciprocated back to you, you don't like that. Like, he's like, and it just bothers me, like, how he talks about her in his confessionals. Like, he's like, okay, girl, like, you don't have to give me a whole speech. Like, I'm like, you talk about her like she's the most annoying woman on the earth. Like he talks about her like she's just a pest to him. I felt like he shut her down. He picks up on the fact that she's frustrated after this, asks her why, prompts her to tell him, let's use a tool. Tell me how you feel, how this impacted you. I'm glad Nikki told him, I don't feel like you're my husband. Even that feels not warm. Like, you're therapizing me, and let's use a tool. How do you feel? But you don't really care. So I'm glad that she was honest with him. And I feel like he sabotaged this moment intentionally because he thought that she's going to say no on decision day. So he didn't want to approach this evening with care, because if it seems like I care, I'm just going to be rejected tomorrow. What do you have to say? How do you feel? How was this experience? Okay. Ready to be done with this yet? Because you don't like me and I'm getting tired of you. That's how I read the situation. What did you think about everybody's splits? Because this is the end of the episode. We'll end with Tori and Felipe on decision day, but what did you think about everybody packing up?
Everybody packing up was pretty anticlimactic. I agree with everything that you just said. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. I do want to comment on the Nikki and Sean of it all. I totally agree with what you're saying about them there. Sean, Mr. Over Intellectualizer, did not want to hear Nikki intellectualize her feelings, which to me was kind of surprised. It wasn't surprising, because we have seen him shut her down like this before. I just thought, damn, you finna sour the last few moments that y'all had. That's what blew my mind. I was like, Sean, just leave on a good note, dude. But I love that you pointed out that maybe this was him self-sabotaging because he knows that Nikki's gonna say no, and this will be his excuse to also say no on decision day as well. I just thought that it was so stupid. Now, sometimes when people are a little long-winded, do I want them to also stop? Yes. But will I say that and sour the moment? I try not to. I'm like, I just power through it, especially for him. He always has a soliloquy and some super long epithet to say to any person. So like, just let her say it. Why ruin the final night? But you're probably right. A little self-sabotage, a little reason for him to say no on decision day. But everybody else was like, okay, yeah, go home. Pack it up. Go back to your shack, Adam. Let's find out what these decisions are.
I just don't understand why he wanted to take the wind out of her sail. Like I'm like you would think that he would be hop skip jump to the car with her luggage, helping, overly helpful. I I don't know. Like yeah, bring back yearning. Like I thought that he like wanted to I wish that he like wanted to win her affection. It was just like really kind. But like Nikki was saying like earlier, she doesn't know which Sean she's gonna get.
I really wish that he would have just let her say nice things about him. Because
Right.
that's what she was doing. She was saying nice things about him. And so yeah, I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, and then he told her that he felt like he was screaming at her when she wasn't. Like I'm just like the whole situation just very confusing. They're out in the hallway. Episode ends. It's decision day. We see Felipe and Tori go to decision day. Mind you, last conversation we saw between the two of them, he had given her an album of their photos. They were speaking life into each other. It sounded really positive. All of a sudden, shit's not okay. Okay, Tori's got the pink lip on, but it's not bringing the sparkle that it usually does because her energy is off. And even as Felipe is sitting there committing to the script or the bit that he's doing, this performance of feelings, Tori's looking at him like, what the fuck? And we hear that they had a conversation off camera to where he disclosed something to her, dropped a bomb on her. And now she is sitting here confused. Um, we finally hear her respond to Felipe after he's done this long-winded feelings. And she says, I'm confused. You do you think what you told me last night is normal? He scoffs or laughs at this, episode cuts. I think he may have told her that he DM'd one of the other girls in the experience, like swiped up on their Instagram story and flirted. I could see it being that. I could see it being he met up with his ex or a group of girls during this experience one night that he hadn't talked about, or I could see him wanting to be in an open relationship and never having communicated that. What do you think?
For one, I'm not sure if I like this decision day meetup with just the couples. I actually liked it in previous seasons where the experts would sit down and ask them
Oh
different
yeah.
questions. So I don't really like the format of them meeting up and just having a conversation about themselves, whatever. That's how I feel about that. Um, now, what I found interesting about this final meetup with Felipe and Tori is that this is the first time that I've heard Felipe said a lot of like sweet nothings, emphasis on the nothings while still being sweet. But this was the first time where I'm hearing him say like a nothing burger. The things that he was telling Tori, I was like, I've heard him say sweeter things throughout the season and be more eloquent with his wording. This just sounds like a bunch of like hodgepodge. Like, you make breakfast for me in the morning when I wake up at 11 a.m. What the, what, what, what?
I remind her of that right then. I really wrote in my notes, don't piss me off. You're kidding me.
I was like, why is this part of your final speech to her right now? Again, this his speech just felt so void of like love and care based off of the other times that he's expressed love and care for Tori throughout the season. So it's really interesting. It just felt like nothing. It felt like just a throwaway speech. Take me as I am. I'm throwing it at you. Also, I think that either, first of all, diabolical for them to leave us on that cliffhanger. It's so rude.
I
Now
was
I'm like,
pissed. Like, are you guys
I'm,
kidding
I'm
me?
livid, livid. Was not necessary. We were already tied into the show. We're gonna watch. The cliffhanger was not needed. Um, but now I think that he either told her that he wants an open relationship, that would fit, that he's realizing that would fit better for his lifestyle, or that he had a situation with someone that night or after they separated, and just to realize, like, is this really where he wanted to be? I think it's one of the two. Either way, I'm glad that whatever the hell he told her, she's gonna say no, because I did not need her to say yes to Felipe at all. And I think you and I kind of called it in our first couple episode recaps that Felipe was not the marriage material. He was going to be deeply unserious throughout. I think he was more serious than you and I both thought that he would be. I think we were thinking he was definitely going to be more of how Adam showed up, but him and Adam somehow like swapped personalities from what we both thought. But I think that he said something about wanting to be in an open relationship, or having an indiscretion with someone else the day before or something like that. Definitely inappropriate, but the cliffhanger was crazy. We didn't need that.
We didn't need that. And I feel like this might be like too much. Like I might be dragging it, but I felt like the cliffhanger like a little like inappropriate, like just in the sense that like I don't watch that scene and my takeaway isn't to speculate on Felipe's sexuality. Nonetheless, I know people will. I don't want to see it in my comments before people come in my comments. Your comment will be deleted, but I just feel like it's just leaving gray area for that to be what people are saying and to take it there, and I don't love that either. Like I wish we just knew
Yeah.
what is it to get to Thursday. I want to know. And then it's like if Thursday's decision day, so we didn't get to see Adam's sister meet Marissa, like we're just getting deprived of like a lot of stuff basically that I
Yeah.
was still looking for during the rest of the episodes.
I'll tell you, I felt a little deprived of not seeing all of the couples' apartments or homes as
Yes.
well. Like we never saw Devin or Caitlin's. We didn't see
Hmm.
Belgely and Mecca's. I don't think we saw, did we see Courtney and Nick's? I don't think we saw theirs either.
I don't think so.
And the reason why I feel deprived of that is because I think there is importance in showing the audience about how these people lived,
Absolutely.
because that is very telling. I'm sure that they went and saw each other's
Hmm.
spaces, but I wanted, if you're going to show some of the couples, show all of the couples, their homes and stuff like that. So I didn't care for that. I wanted to see Marissa meet Adam's family, but I guarantee Adam's family was like, we're not doing this show, Adam. We're
Hmm.
not going for one of your other tricks, dude. Like, absolutely not. No, no, no. Don't bring them cameras here. So I'm not surprised that we did not get to see that. Um, I'm very happy that we never got to see Mecca's dad after that wedding day, though. Thank God. Or even if they did have something together, like I'm glad we never got to see it. But yeah, this is like decision day and everything is like wrapping up. I did not think that cliffhanger was not necessary. They could have left it on them walking up to each other and then
Right.
that be the cliffhanger right there, because now you're right, the audience speculates and it's not always a good speculation, it's not
Hmm.
always a good spiral, and it just leaves everybody like festering and stirring for a week,
Hmm.
especially if we get to the cliffhanger and the cliffhanger is like
A nothing
Felipe
burger.
saying he wants to move to Italy and take her with, I don't know. Isn't he Italian? I don't know.
Right.
Sorry. I
Right.
could be wrong. Don't crucify me. I don't. Anyways, like if the cliffhanger is gonna be a cliffhanger, like I would just have rather not see it, and I would have rather see the cliffhanger in the to come, like
Hmm.
on next week's episode or whatever like that. I didn't think that that was necessary.
Hmm. I agree.
But
I'm ready for them to close. Like I loved watching this season, but I'm just ready for us to get closer to the end. I don't know if you saw, but the experts have finally like posted the prior experts, Pastor Cal,
mm,
reunion host Kevin Frazier. Like they confirmed that they were let go by the network. It was a full change of guards. So we are not going to see the reunion hosted by Kevin Frazier this season. There are rumors that it might.
oh.
I'm so sad. I'm so sad about that.
I thought I would, like, first of all, we've already like been grieving Pastor Cal like
Hmm.
not being on this season, but now Kevin Frazier's not hosting. I thought he was a really good host of the reunions. He was always very, he gave everybody the opportunity to say something, and he gave really good commentary and called people out in a really good way. So who are they going to have hosting the reunion?
Rumors that
Do
it's
not make it
Andy
Andy
Cohen.
Cohen. Oh
Rumors
my
that it's Andy
gosh.
Cohen. I'm gonna be so pissed.
Please.
If it's Andy Cohen, if it's Nick Vile, if it's Stassi, if it's
No.
I'm gonna I won't even watch. If it's any of
Well,
them,
you know what?
I'll watch for Andy.
Luckily though, this is Peacock. So it's not gonna be Andy. It's
Maybe.
not gonna be Stassi. Oh well, I mean it could. No,
It
because
could
I'm
be
sorry.
Andy, but it probably won't be Stassi because she's on
I don't
Hulu.
want any of I
I don't
don't
want any of
want
them.
any of that.
So that's what we're thinking about, guys. Tell us who you think is going to be hosting the reunion in the comments. We're thinking about the reunion, who we don't want
Oh.
to host it, who we want to host it. What do you think the cliffhanger was? What do you think is going to happen on decision day? Do you feel deprived from this season? I know this is an unpopular take, but I miss seeing the friends come over in the apartment, like both sets of
Yeah.
friends, because I think it just adds so much context to how they're going to get
Oh
on.
my God, I didn't even realize that we did not get that.
We didn't get that.
We need some of that because it allows for the friends or the family to say like, "Ooh, no, this is you didn't recognize this," or you know, the people call their friends and they vent, and then their friends can be the ones to bring that to the forefront. We totally missed that. So where I liked the group therapy to an extent. I did not like that it's not expert led, it's like couple led, like the
Mhm.
couples call each other out. I didn't care for that, but I did like the group dinners. I
Yeah.
thought the group dinners were pretty good and having the experts watch. But yeah, I do think that we missed a lot of things that add a little bit more, again, context. The word of the day is context to some of these relationships, like seeing their places, seeing their friends interact and have commentary about each other.
100%. Because I would have liked to see, like, we saw Caitlyn meet Devin's friends, but I would have liked to see Caitlyn's friends with Devin's friends. Like, I would have liked to see more
Uh-huh.
people's lives mesh together. But like I said, tell me all of your guys' thoughts. Make sure you're following us. If you didn't already like this video, comment, subscribe, hype, do all the things. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Spotify, make sure you've left a 5-star review and that you're subscribed to this podcast with the notification bells turned on. Make sure that you follow Janae on all platforms. Check out her website. If you need therapy, marriage and family counseling, so she offers all the things. Make sure to check out her website. Anything else to say?
I'm super excited to watch Thursday's episodes and then recap with you again on Monday.
Can't wait. This is our schedule. Every Monday, we recap together. So we'll see you next Monday, Tuesday, whenever the episode comes out. But we'll be recording on Monday. Have a great day, everybody. And thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Leah.
Bye.